Hello and welcome to another episode of Corgi Town, USA. I am Candy, owner of this podcast lifestyle brand. In my lap is Chuckles, our spokescorg. Typically, we have Kat, our executive producer and co-host. She had a scheduling mishap today, so it's just me today and Chuckles, but we also have the Corgi committee. Of course, Digby comes with Cat. So in studio, we have Booger, Hammer, and Mortimer Barnabas. Hopefully, he's not getting into too much mischief as I'm hosting today because I don't have another set of eyes. But thank you so much. If you're new here, hi. We have new episodes every Thursday, all things Corgi lifestyle, grooming, training, life, traveling with your pet, just different kind of parent interest pieces. One of my favorite things we do on the show is our creator series, in which we interview people who create pet centric art. This is from a number of different mediums. These are authors, painters, sculptors, etc. Some make jewelry, kind of all over the gambit. We've even had a guest that makes keepsakes out of your pet's fur. That was in our first season. We are now well into season 4. Again, thank you so much for dear viewer, dear audience, for listening, sticking with us as we ironed out some things and made things a little better and started tailoring our content to you to bring you interesting and helpful information. You can also email me, Candy, Candie, at corgitownusa.com if you have a specific subject you would like us to tackle, or you have a guest that you think you would like to see on the show, or maybe you want to be a guest. You have an interesting story. We also do rescue stories. So anything that's heartfelt, we like to tell those stories. And today is our creator series. So we are going to bring on Larry Goodman. He is a painter and artist. And let's go ahead and bring him on. Larry, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here, Candy.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate you taking the time. So I want, if you don't mind, please tell our audience about you. Who is Larry Goodman?
Okay. Who is Larry Goodman? Larry Goodman is a soon-to-be senior citizen who lives in South Florida, born and raised in New Jersey, and came to South Florida by way of Georgia for many years. I have had pretty much a lifelong passion for art. I can remember as a child, my father was a painter, and he painted a mural on our kitchen wall. He would paint down in our basement. We had a cinder block basement, an old school basement, and he would paint on the cinder blocks landscapes.
Oh, wow.
And so I would watch him do that, and he would allow me to kind of make these very primitive renditions of what he was doing. And I was kind of a little entrepreneur at the time, because I remember this is first, second grade. I would get these little 3x5 pads, memo pads that my mom would pick up at the store. And I would draw these little comic books that featured things that little kids would be interested in, like dinosaurs and superheroes and space aliens and cavemen. And I would then take these stories, because they were actually stories, they had a plot associated with them, antagonists and protagonists. I didn't know what those were at the time, but they had them. And I would take them to elementary school in first and second grade, and I would sell them for like a nickel or a dime to fellow students. So I guess that was my first opportunity to call myself a published artist, if you will. Then as a teen, I had, I think, what was the world's first man cave down my parents' basement. It was a sectioned off area where I painted murals on the walls. I had started playing guitar at the time, was very much into classic rock music. So on one wall, I had a life-size concert of Kiss Comes Alive, complete with glow-in-the-dark pyrotechnic paint.
Oh, that's cool.
I had Peter Frampton Comes Alive on a wall. I had Elton John's Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. All these were life size, and they were there up until a couple of years ago when my mom sold our family home. Don't know if they're still there. Um, when I got out of high school and was trying to determine what I would do next, I really had no clue, but I knew that I at least had some ability to paint and draw. And I like to mentor and teach, so maybe I'll become an art teacher. I went to school, went to college to become an art teacher. Came out with a degree to teach art from kindergarten through 12th grade, but it was at a time where there was a real push because the U.S. was falling behind from an education standpoint, and there was a real push towards the three R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic, and the
Mm.
sciences. And schools were cutting back on the arts. They were cutting back on
Mm.
music. They were cutting back on drama. They were cutting back on art. And so there was nary a job to be found when I got out.
Ah, bummer. Those are
So,
all my favorite subjects too. The fun stuff, the
yes,
artistic
the
stuff.
creative side of things.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting into the office products industry, where I spent the next 35 years. And during that time, um, working hard, married, children came along, um, grandchildren came along. There was really very little time to do art. And for all that time, maybe I did two or three artworks. I painted a mural of Legolas the elf from Lord of the Rings on my son's bedroom wall.
That's my favorite elf.
Yes, that's good. I painted the Beatles' Abbey Road, that iconic album cover,
Mhm.
which is one of the only artworks that I actually own. Everything else is custom, and I do, and I ship out. But so to make a long story a little less long, uh, I worked in the office products industry for 35 years. Corporate downsized. I was left for the first time in 3.5 decades looking for work. And my wife, we have two little uh, Yorkie Terrier mix dogs. They're 12
Aw.
years old. We have Stanley and Zoe. They're our little
Oh,
babies.
yeah.
And we dote on them. They're very spoiled. And my wife had wanted me for some time to paint them so she could hang them on the wall. So I painted Zoe, and a friend saw that, had no clue I had any artistic ability at all, so was quite surprised. And she asked if I could paint her dog, which I did. And then it just began to virally spread. It just started to take off. And within a matter of about 2 or 3 months, I found that I actually had a waiting list of clients. Was charging way too little money for how much time it was taking, but I needed to build up a portfolio and do a website and get an Instagram site and just kind of get off off the floor with that. And
Get your marketing started. Yeah.
yeah, and it was a blessing. It reintroduced me to art. It was primarily pets. Uh, I love animals, and it was a heck of a lot less stress than what I had been doing in the past. And so within a couple of months, I began to think, hey, maybe I'm close to retirement. Maybe I dial back, and this is what I do now because it brings people a lot of joy, and that's what I would get off on is when a lot of the portraits I do are memorial portraits. They're commissioned when a client loses an animal, loses a pet, a furry family member, or the animal is getting up in age and they know that their time with the animals is short,
Yeah.
and they want to memorialize. They want to have something to remember that loved animal by. So when I get a photograph sent to me, email to me from a client after they opened up the portrait and see their animal that was part of their family for 8, 10, 12, 15 years, who's now gone. And they send me a photograph and they're crying. It's a very bittersweet, and I'll get misty talking about it.
Yeah, of course.
It's an emotional thing, and I get a charge out of it, and it makes me feel good to
Hmm.
know that I've brought some joy into someone's life, delivering, not bringing that animal back to life, but in some way, in some small way, bringing that animal back into their heart.
You're keeping the memory alive, and all of us, in petdom, that's so important to us because we build these bonds with these pets.
And
And when you can no longer see them, feel them, smell them, hold them, know that they're around, to have a keepsake is just so priceless to hold their memory alive. Yeah.
I wish, they're such a blessing to us humans. Sometimes I wonder if we actually deserve them.
Probably not.
Probably. And I wish, I so wish they had longer lifespans to spend more time with us, because their time is so short. So
Yes,
all you pet
indeed.
lovers out there watching this, love on your animals while you have them with you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, all the time is precious, and you're correct, and you have seniors, and so it's definitely a different type of feel. I have a couple of seniors right now, and I have one that has a degenerative condition. He has degenerative myelopathy and uses a wheelchair, and
Oh,
um, yeah, so I have to watch him kind of go downhill in front of my eyes, and so I have to pay attention too, right? Because I have to make a decision one day,
mhm.
which is the best way to handle that is to not let him suffer, but also pay attention. Is he happy being a dog? And yeah, it's a very palpable thing.
Yeah, it is a very strong bond
Yeah.
that is formed between dog or cat, or horse, any animal.
All of our pets, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. 100%. Well, I want to tell you, thank you for sharing that with us. And I couldn't agree more. I love what you're doing. I'm a big fan of not only memorial pieces, but anything that kind of immortalizes our loved ones in this way. And especially through the use of art. I want to bring up a video, how I found you. Tell me kind of how you caught on. Like you told us a little bit about, you had someone had hired, or you had painted something for someone, and then it kind of took off from there. But tell us about this video and how you have this long wait list now and how that happened.
Okay. Well, I began. My son encouraged me to, when I got started here, and it looked like, hey, maybe there was something here to keep me busy in my declining years. He said, "Dad, you need to put together an Instagram page." So I'm like, "Okay, help me put together an Instagram page." So he helped me put it together, and he says, "What do you want to call it?" I'm like, "I don't know. How about Pet Portraits by Larry?" Very, that's not exactly an award-winning name right there, but I'm stuck with it now.
Well, we're not guessing what it is. So
Yes, very clear. And he is a resident psychiatrist, also down in South Florida, and he is very involved in social media, advocating for important mental health issues. And so he understands the power of social media
Mhm.
and the audience that it can build. And he did a, uh, a little video of me, just kind of very briefly telling my story about, I lost my job of many years, and now I'm back to doing what I was doing, as a child, and a teenager. I was doing art again, and bringing through that art of primarily animals, pets. I was bringing joy into people's lives, and he just said, "Hey, it's a great story, and I hope you'll follow him." And it kind of blew up.
Over 1 million views, you said, right?
1 million views, a ton of shares, a ton of comments. It really got a significant amount of engagement, and I had had a waiting list. for the last 3 years I've been doing this, but that kind of really blew up my Instagram account, and then it also got people following me on Facebook, and just it opened up a new audience of clients and followers and supporters, and I found Instagram to be a wonderful community. I've connected with so many fellow artists,
Yes.
and it's a supportive community. We encourage each other, we inspire, we educate and inform each other. We watch out for each other because there are many um, scammers that will
Right.
try to, abscond with folks' money.
Right.
And I've actually taken on a bit of a role of, it's like a mission for me to educate and inform and alert other artists about the dangers associated with these people who prey on them online. I've
Oh,
done
wow.
a video series that kind of shows them the warning signs, how to identify someone who's a scammer, what things to look for.
Oh, we need that. Yeah. Thank you for
Yes.
doing that.
And so anyway, the video my son did was very impactful, and uh, I've
Oh,
got a nice group of clients. Many of them are repeat clients, or I get business from word of mouth, friends of clients, colleagues of clients.
yeah.
One of the advantages I've had that maybe some other younger artists might not have is that from all my years in business, I've worked with so many people, so many customers, so many coworkers and colleagues. And I also, I post my work on LinkedIn. I post my work on the Nextdoor app. I post my work.
Cross pollination.
Yes, yes, across social media
Yeah.
platforms. And because I've made a lot of contacts over the years and hopefully did right by them, when they recognize that, oh my gosh, as I mentioned, I didn't do art for so many years, so hardly anyone knew that I had any artistic ability. And so when they learn it, they're surprised. And then, it makes for a unique gift sometimes. If you're trying to buy somebody something for Mother's Day or Father's Day or birthday or for the holidays, and it's one of those people that, do I buy them another tie, another pair of novelty socks? What do I get them?
Yeah.
An Amazon gift card? What do I do? It's something very unique.
Yes.
So I think that's connected with people, and
Definitely.
so it's worked out pretty well. I
Is
enjoy it.
there is there a favorite piece of work that you've done, or maybe most interesting or notable, or both?
Hmm, that is an excellent question.
I love the corgi you did that, and we'll share that with as I'm talking to the audience here. The Instagram page is Pet Portraits by Larry, and we will share that banner on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. And you can also go to coldnosefineart.com, and I will share both of those links in the description box of both the video and on the audio. But yes, Larry, tell us most
Okay.
notable, interesting, or favorite.
I've had a few interesting ones. I'll tell you my probably my favorite ones, Candy, are the ones that actually showcase the pet as well as their human companion.
Mhm.
I've done several that, when I see the reference photo, the client will send me 3, 4, 5, 10 reference photos to look at.
Mhm.
Um, and I'll see one where it's the little girl hugging the dog, or the gentleman with the dog by his side, or the cat sitting next to the child. I love to do those because it's so cool to capture that bond, that connection. You can see it very clearly, the love that the animal has for the human, and the human has in turn for the animal.
Yeah.
I love those. One of the interesting ones I did was a woman sent me several pictures of her dog, and asked if I could do it sitting on a throne.
Oh,
Like a
royalty.
royalty throne. She's like,
Yeah.
yes, because this dog kind of rules our house. So that was an interesting one because I had the picture of the dog, which I was able to isolate, and then I had to find the right picture of a throne, and then a right picture of that room for that throne chair to sit in. So it was an amalgamation, and really it was a challenge from a standpoint of making sure the shadowing was all correct, the light sources were all correct, and in concert with each other. And the throne itself was very intricate. Of all the thrones to pick out, it had all this like filigreed, like metal work on the arms and the legs,
Oh, wow.
and
Like a Game of Thrones throne.
yeah, exactly. And so that was quite a challenge. I believe that the client was very pleased with the end result, and I was quite proud of it too because it was very different.
Yeah. A new
Usually
challenge. New
new
challenge.
challenge. Usually I'm working with tufts of fur. This
Yeah.
time it was all this intricate metalwork on the throne chair. So that was an interesting one as well.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, so tell us if let's say that, we find you, someone says, I want Larry to paint my pet. So what does the process look like and what is the timeline? And I imagine you were talking about special interest gifts if it's Mother's Days, birthdays, holidays. I'm sure there's a longer timeline there because you got more orders in clusters.
Yeah,
Uh,
it gets busy, Candy. Around August, September, it starts getting busy with holiday commissions. That's my busiest time of year. So,
okay.
uh, if someone is looking for something for the holidays, it's a good idea to book by mid to late August, I would say, to
Okay.
ensure that I'm able to. Yeah, I hate to overpromise and under deliver. So,
Sure. Well, so so that's holidays, or we're talking around 3 to 4 months. If it's on just, out of the blue, "Oh, I would like to have a portrait." What is a typical timeline, and what does the process look like? We reach out to you on the website or Instagram, ask for, custom work. We send a few photos.
yep, that's exactly it. On my website, there is a complete description of how everything works, best practices associated with the type photos to try to obtain.
Mhm.
Good, strong lighting, very high resolution. Um, Try not to have a very distracting background or foreground items, fighting with the animal.
Mhm.
Um, Many times I have to, don't cut off the animal like, the top of their ears or, their legs. Now there are times where, um, I have to get creative and work from several photos to kind of do a composite. But from a lead time standpoint, it varies by what's going on during the year. It usually runs between, I'd say, 2 months to 4.5 months of a lead time from the time
Okay.
someone books a commission until I'm able to deliver on it.
Okay.
And the process is quite simple. They engage with me through my website or send me an email or personal message through Instagram, a direct message. And then, we chat a little bit. We determine what size they're looking for. We work to identify the best photos to work from. I try to learn a bit about the animal. I like to have that connection.
Mhm.
Um, uh, Even when I'm working on a portrait of an animal that's gone over the Rainbow Bridge, um, while that animal is on my easel, to me it's alive, very much alive, and I oftentimes forget that they're gone.
Oh.
I'm working on them, and I'll send the client. I like to send clients work in progress pics so they can kind of be part of the process rather than just, you know,
Big reveal.
yeah, throw you a
Yeah.
big reveal at the end.
Yeah.
And sometimes uh, that's helpful because sometimes they'll see something as the portrait is taking shape where they'll be like, hey, I see what's happening here. Can you tweak this? Can you modify this a little bit? And so, if we catch it then, it's something that I can do. Once it's in their hands, it's kind of like, too late for that. But to that point, it's also good to during the discussion get a very good idea of what they're looking for
Hmm.
up front. For example, I just did a portrait of a baby. In fact, a client commissioned a portrait of her infant daughter for her mother for Mother's Day. So it's for the grandmother.
Oh.
And, she sent me the photos, but then before I even started, she said, hey, the blanket was shades of like taupe and beige. She said, can you make the blanket shades of pink? So knowing that up front was a lot easier than if she'd have told me that, after I'd already recreated it. So
Yeah. Saves you both a little sanity there.
absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, and won't keep you all night. But thank you for anyone listening who or is viewing and you would like to hire Larry. Sounds like you should. Couple months, 2 to 3 months, 3 to 4 months during busy times. And if you don't mind, Larry, please tell our audience, those listening, how to get to your website, your Instagram, ways to get a hold of you.
Okay. Instagram is Pet Portraits by Larry, Larry. My website is www.coldnosefineart.com. So a cold nose like a dog or would have a cold wet nose, and fineart.com. And on the website you'll see a gallery of my work. You'll see um, uh, how the whole process works. You'll see a page that has all the different explanation of how I derive pricing based on size, media, composition. So there's no surprises. You would know up front what everything would run. And also, if you were to just Google my website, you will see I've been blessed that many clients have taken the time to do a review. And up to this point, everyone has been 5-star, very positive. So
Awesome.
yeah, you can, so if you're a prospective client, you would have peace of mind that
Yeah.
you're going to get someone working for you that has a passion for animals, that has a passion for delivering something that is going to exceed your expectations.
Have you had any celebrity clients yet?
Celebrity clients. Um, let's see. I don't think so. Now, if there were any folks who have some degree of celebrity that I've done work for, I hope I've not offended you by not naming you.
I'm
But
sh
yeah, I think it's just, it runs the gamut of just the common man and woman across the U.S. I've done a few international ones where I've shipped overseas.
That's very cool.
I did want to mention something to you about corgis because corgis are one of the breeds, and I'm not saying this to schmooze Corgi Town, USA, Candy. I've always loved corgis. They are this very interesting amalgamation of, to me, I look at them and I see like someone, they're like the love child of a collie. Like, remember Lassie? If I'm
Mhm.
old enough to remember Lassie, collie.
Yep.
And then one of those little hot dog dogs, a dachshund, with the short legs. It's like
Yep.
they got together and you got a corgi. I don't know what kind of breeding went into getting to where the modern day corgi is, but when I see them, that's what I see. This collie and a dachshund.
There is a science, yeah, a number of herding breeds, and you can go back to some of the AKC paperwork. I think Pomeranian is in there as well, to bred. But yes, they were bred short, so that they can nip at cattle, get cattle moving, and they're less likely to get hurt or trampled on or kicked because they're so low to the ground,
Yeah.
and that's hence the bobtails as well. But yes, couldn't agree more. I've had them for 17 years, and just about the last 10 is when they grew in popularity. I remember my first corgi, my dearly departed Lilo. When I had him, nobody knew what kind of dog he was, and he was beautiful, absolutely gorgeous colors. He looked like a German shepherd. He
Mhm.
was a sable. He looked like a German shepherd, but that was very low to the ground. And people would say, "What kind of dog is he? A mix?" I say, "No, he's a corgi." And they would say, "A what?" I say, the corgi, like the queen's dogs. Oh, I've
Mhm.
never heard of that. And now we have what we call the paparazzi. Anywhere you go, corgi, corgi. You hear people get excited. I used to travel with Booger, my little girl, when I did business trips, and I would walk through the fairway of the airport, and you would hear it just like paparazzi. Corgi, do you see that corgi? Oh my gosh, there's a corgi over there. Can we see the corgi? And she would just love it because everybody she would get all this attention. And oh yes, I'm the star of the show. Most of them are pretty social and love it. But yes, thank you. Couldn't agree more. They're quite wonderful.
I did not realize they were herding animals.
Yep, bred to herd cattle. They are the herding breed. They are a working breed.
Very
And
cool.
that's part of what we do here is to kind of educate people who might be enthusiasts, maybe looking for it is, how to find the right breeder, or if you're going to rescue, what to look for, and kind of what to be prepared for. No two dogs are exactly the same. They have certain proclivities because they're a working breed, but high energy, high work drive, full of energy, full of sass. They're not bred to be mild mannered because they need to move some very big animals. And so they can be pretty bossy, and you just have to know how to work with that. So that's what we like helping people with. So thank you for that.
How many do you have?
I have 4.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I've had 7 over 17 years, and 4 is the most that I think I can handle. 2 are seniors. One is she's slightly disabled. She can't really walk very very long distances, but one is in a wheelchair, so he has to be either carried in a backpack, pushed in a stroller, or in a wheelchair.
Mhm.
So I'm quite the spectacle when I try to go places with all 4 of them.
You're a good mom.
Oh, thank you. It's a little bit of effort for tremendous return.
There you go.
So
Absolutely.
well, Larry, thank you so much for spending your evening with us. And again, it is Pet Portraits by Larry on Instagram, coldnosefineart.com for the website. I will share these links in the description box on both YouTube and on our audio platforms. Larry, I hope you have a great night. We're going to let you get back to your evening.
You do the same, Candy. It was great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, good night.
Well, I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Sorry for the lack of cat. Hopefully, I was still entertaining enough for you. I definitely tend to bleep out fewer curse words when Cat is not here. Um, and Chuckles is just taking his little afternoon nap tonight. So, but I highly recommend that you go to Pet Portraits by Larry. Check out some of this amazing work. Check out Cold Nose Fine Art. You want to learn more about the process and what that looks like with timeline. Takes a few months. But we all here are very proud of our creator series and always very excited to find artists that immortalize our pets, and use separate mediums to help us create those memories and keep those memories in tangible aspects. I'm Candy. In my lap is Chuckles, our spokescorg. Coming to you from the studio is Booger Hammer and Mortimer Barnabas. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We will see you next week with a fresh episode, a podcast for pets and their people, Corgi Town, USA. Good night.